Okay, welcome back to another episode of Unsinkable Theory, a show where we talk to you guys about our favorite movies, movie moments, and at the end we will decide whether that movie is sinkable or unsinkable. So, Shazam. What do we think is going to happen? What do we know? I don't know anything. So, if you guys know anything,
Um, you
go
know,
for it.
I've heard all sorts of things. I am frequenting the internet and hear spoilers and see spoilers. I'm not going to mention them because I want to go into the movie knowing the least amount possible. And um, I don't know anything about the title villain or, you know, any details really. And I think that attests to the editing and the marketing program for not showing too much in the trailers
Right,
as nobody likes.
right. The only thing about like used to be called Captain Marvel, but Shazam now is that basically before there was, modern day DC and modern day Marvel, there was a character called Captain Marvel. I don't remember the original publisher.
Action Comics,
Was it
probably.
Action Comics?
Probably.
But basically, when because Captain Marvel was out before DC and Marvel comics were pretty big, they basically each kind of had their own Captain Marvel, and then the DC version of Captain Marvel turned into Shazam.
Yeah.
So, and then Captain Marvel on the Marvel side just stayed Captain Marvel.
Right.
That's all I know as far as like history. I don't know anything about the character, anything like that. So,
Well, I know it's generally a he, but sometimes it can be a group of kids, and they're usually all orphans, and then they're granted the power because, they're found worthy. Just like generally any other superhero, or when someone gets power, they're found worthy to be bestowed upon the power.
Right.
To be
And they
Okay.
even show that in the trailer.
Yeah,
They're like,
that-
Billy Bastion, you are worthy, blah, blah, blah.
so that's his name, Billy Bastion.
Yeah, the kid's name is
the
Billy
kid in the-
Bastion.
in the
Yeah.
movie.
And then, is comparable to Superman in strength, but, not as, I feel like, unlimited in power with the yellow sun thing where it makes him super powerful, Superman. But he's comparable in strength, and they have things, animated movies where Superman's in there and they tango a little bit. So he's pretty powerful. It would be great to see Superman cameo or something like
Yeah,
that.
anything that would be a kind of
Hopeful,
a
hopeful,
nice
but
tie-in.
doubtful with Henry Cavill's up in the air contract with WB and DC. So
I mean, non-existent contract now, right?
I don't know.
It's not a contract if he doesn't work for them anymore.
Well, right, there was like rumors that they wanted Michael B. Jordan to play a version of Superman, and
He's in The Witcher now.
yeah, he's in The Witcher. But then there was also he kept saying like he's Superman and still open to playing it and stuff like that, and even WB had tweeted out that he's still somewhat attached to the role. But the Man of Steel that we all want to see, Man of Steel 2, is probably not going to ever
Yeah.
happen.
I mean, I liked Man of Steel, but a lot of people want to see Man of Steel 2. I was unaware of that.
Oh yeah, it's a big thing on the internet.
Oh, isn't it Man of Steel 2?
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know anything
I can't.
about it.
I can't say that I hear people just talk bad about it all the time.
Oh, I feel like it's praised in the DC community.
Well, okay. I mean, like I said, I liked
of
it.
Steel,
I did not
yeah.
mind the dark tone of DC under Zack Snyder. I thought that was perfectly fine. I don't know why we couldn't have that.
I'm still okay. This looks like a lighthearted, fun movie, and I'm totally okay with that. Zachary Levi is looking sharp and looking like it's going to be a hit to me.
Did
to be
you
honest
ever
with you.
watch him when he was on Chuck,
Chuck?
a TV show on NBC?
Yeah, skinny nerdy guy.
Yeah.
yeah. And
When
now
I
he's
saw
like
that trailer, I was like, God damn it, it's Chuck.
he's buff and clean now.
Is he actually buff? I thought
Yeah,
it was a suit.
it's somewhat of a suit, but he bulked up.
Oh, okay.
He definitely did his due diligence.
All right, we got to get out of here. So what we'll do is we're gonna go watch the movie right now, and then we'll come back and we'll give you hopefully at least a little bit of info. We don't know anything right now, so we will come back and we'll talk some more.
Spoilers ahead.
Okay, we are back. First thoughts. I thought it was really, really good. I liked it a lot. I thought the humor, honestly, it felt like a Marvel movie, which I've never said that about a DC movie before. I wasn't bored at any point in the movie, which was definitely not true. Like when we saw Justice League, I was bored the entire movie. I was like, when is this fucker done?
Yeah.
I couldn't stay.
can see that.
I don't know. And then I kind of during Batman versus Superman, I felt like that, but not this one. I wasn't bored at all.
Definitely think it's worth the praise that it's getting, for sure. Like towards Zachary Levi's performance, and then towards like the overall movie itself. Like it was certified fresh on its first reviews on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. It had a high score, and I think it deserves that.
Yeah, I liked it. It's a good movie. I don't like drawing comparisons to Marvel because I liked the darker tone, as I said earlier. But it was a fun movie. I like that.
It was fun. I agree.
The reason I compared it to Marvel movies is because they've always like up until recently, like so some of their more recent movies they've kind of overdone it on the comedy, at least in my opinion. I meant more toward them having like the proper comedic timing. Like the jokes weren't over the top, the jokes were appropriate for what was going on in the scene, for what was going on in the whole scope of the movie. That's kind of what I was talking about. Like it wasn't too comedic. It still like was proper. It wasn't like it wasn't a camp fest.
Right.
If that makes
so,
any sense.
and I think that goes just with the character itself too. Billy Batson being the hero, being a kid, really made the comedy easy, and like it was natural.
Yeah, it was appropriate.
Yeah.
It felt appropriate. It didn't feel like they were just like, oh, let's throw in a joke here during a semi-tense or serious moment because that's what we do. We're Marvel.
There wasn't really any jokes actually in intense moments, were there?
No, there were none.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, we can get
Except
into
for
the
the
spoilers
one,
later.
we'll talk about it in the spoiler section. Yeah.
And then, it's just fun. There was some parts in the beginning I wasn't totally like immersed in the beginning. So, the actor for Billy Batson, which I said Bastion earlier, I believe, but it's Batson. He, I wasn't sold on his acting and his abilities. In the beginning scenes where he's goofing off and with the police, and then he is sitting there in front of the counselor. It seemed like maybe it was some of the first scenes he shot or something, but it just like was off. But then later, as the movie progressed, I felt like it got better, and the performance
maybe he was
up to
rusty
stuff.
or like
So, I
just
don't
wasn't
know.
comfortable yet.
It didn't hit. It wasn't hitting right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my first take. Initially, at the beginning of the movie, I was like, man, is this gonna be like this the entire time? But then it lived up to the hype. I feel.
I think it's the best one they've made so far. As far as just like a story that I'm sitting here watching the whole time and I don't want to leave. Aquaman was good, but even some of the jokes in Aquaman were just like, really?
I still think Wonder Woman is the best one so far for me.
Wonder Woman was very good. But it was like, some people even say that movie was too dark. There's some people that just don't like dark movies. I know you do like dark movies, but a lot of people don't like darker. Wonder Woman was good. For what Wonder Woman was, it was perfect. Like, it wasn't supposed to have comedy in it. So that made sense. So yeah, and to be fair, yeah, Wonder Woman is probably the best overall movie. But as far as how they handled the comedy for this one, I think that they did the best job on Shazam.
And I feel like they're finally finding a stride with these movies. And it sucks to say, but the rush of the ensemble thing to keep up, which seemed like what was happening at the beginning with the DCU, with Batman versus Superman and then Justice League right away, almost, seemed like a bad move. I feel like if they would have just slowed down and did what Marvel wanted to do, or what Marvel did, what they probably wanted to do originally. Like, I give credit to Zack Snyder because he made great films. I like that. I like Batman vs Superman. I like Man of Steel, but it did feel rushed and like the wrong move.
are you saying that you can't make an ensemble film right away?
No, I actually think that they're putting themselves in a good position to make a good ensemble film eventually. I like the idea of a Legion of Doom film first, I think. Maybe some heroes sprinkled in there, but something to... I want to see a villain movie that's not Suicide Squad.
We're getting the Joker in October.
Yeah, that looks great. But I don't know if you could start with an ensemble film. I'd like to think it's possible, but we saw the results of what they tried. But I think that's a matter of timing and circumstance for Justice League.
Because that had been the fact that a lot of people didn't like Zack Snyder's direction already, and then it did have a director change.
Yeah,
So,
like
I mean,
it's
like that movie didn't have its problems going into it already.
right.
I was gonna mention like Justice League was also kind of DOA from a production standpoint.
Yeah.
All that stuff that was going on with it, all the reshoots,
Two different tones.
the reshoot,
Yeah, right,
Mustache
right.
Gate.
I mean, it was it was pretty doomed, and you could see that through its production. But at the same time, if we saw Cyborg fleshed out, maybe I don't know about Cyborg. What if we saw Aquaman before we saw Justice League, and it didn't have to go with the storyline that Aquaman was given in Justice League or whatever.
Okay. My thing is
Like those little things, like we could have had his story set up first. We could have had Shazam in the Justice League, maybe. We could have had,
But do we need? Does every hero
we could have
need a
had we
movie?
could have had Wonder Woman fleshed out a little
Does
bit.
every hero need a movie though?
Not every hero does need a
No,
movie.
we
That's
saw that
why I
with
said
Hulk,
maybe
that you don't need to do
Cyborg
that.
didn't really need his own movie.
I mean, because not
can
everyone
do-
knows everyone, but
Right.
at the end of the day, like I get it. You're a robot man. You run fast.
Right. So I think the point I'm trying to make now is that you can flesh out those characters within those movies, as we've seen Marvel do with Hulk, right?
Okay.
And Hawkeye in Avengers Age of Ultron. We got some Hawkeye story. We didn't need to have a 2-hour film of Hawkeye and his family, and his daughter gets kidnapped, and he has to go Liam Neeson on a whole bunch of Hydra people or something.
Right.
We don't need that, right? We don't need to see Cyborg get blown up again or anything like that.
What
So-
Ultron movie did you watch?
So, is there anything else?
remember
No,
watching
I'm just
it.
saying, like,
Is there anything else?
we don't need to see Hawkeye do that.
Is there anything else that we like about it before we move on to like what we didn't like, that you can think of specifically that you liked about it?
I liked all the kids. They were good.
Yeah.
I thought the
The
foster family was
supporting
good.
cast was good. Yeah.
Yeah, they had it
I
was good
didn't. I
supporting
didn't
cast.
think that was gonna happen. Although I remember watching it. He's not to get in too far ahead of ourselves, but he's battling the main guy and he's battling, I guess you could say, the henchman or the other bad guy. And I'm just like, usually in a point in this movie, you're like, he gets some help,
Yeah.
Right.
How is he just gonna overpower all these guys, or is there gonna be some lame MacGuffin that's got to happen? And then when all the kids got their powers too. Spoiler alert.
Okay, we're heading deep dive into the spoilers.
It was like, oh, it made sense. I was like, okay, this is how it's gonna happen. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
See, that was the spoiler that I had saw. So earlier when I said I didn't see much, but I saw some spoilers, that was what I had seen.
Yeah, I thought
was
they-
that the
I thought they did a
all
good
the
job.
kids were going to be
Let's not go too much
Shazam
into the
version.
spoilers.
I thought they did a good
So-
job keeping that secret. They said, I don't go deep diving in for stuff.
I
don't go-
didn't, sometimes it's just browsing
What were you
superhero pages on Instagram.
So
and
one
fucking
thing that I
Instagram.
kind of wanted to talk about that I
Yeah.
thought of kind of in the middle of the movie was that they didn't even try to do an origin story, and I fucking appreciate the hell out of that. For any of it,
Oh.
it didn't really none of it like it wasn't an origin story. It was just a story.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if it was on purpose or if they just did it by accident, but they basically somehow or the other knew that okay, we don't need to sit here and dive into the lore the first movie in. Let's just
Okay.
let's get the
Yeah.
character set up. Okay,
Okay.
let's get his name out there. Let's get his powers, how he gets them. Okay, you don't need to have 45 minutes of flashbacks or whatever it might be
Yeah.
to set up something that's honestly not very complicated. Like, don't treat your audience like they're dumb. They can figure it out. They did what, a little 10-minute intro, probably total.
I see. That's
That
what
was
I
it.
was gonna. I was gonna say. It seemed fast at the beginning, like they were, like when he does his little stroke of his finger, the wizard, and he shows him all that orange stuff, all
Yeah.
like a little bit of his history, or whatever, and then they like, and it was like he got his powers like, boom,
Right.
fast, and it was, and I think that really set. It seemed fast, but it set a good pace for the movie because you were able
Yeah.
to like get the time of him learning and all that stuff.
And it was
and that was
refreshing.
pretty good.
It was refreshing to
Yeah.
see because I feel like so many of these movies treat their audiences like they're fucking stupid, and they have to show them that okay, you have a 2-hour movie and they spend 45 minutes of those 2 hours explaining the powers or showing something about like the history of the character, something like that people just don't need to see. It's just not necessary to see, and I feel like they did a good job showing just enough to where it's like, okay, I can kind of, because I don't know anything about Shazam. I came
Right.
in, I felt like I had a good enough understanding of what the character was about.
This story's actually followed the comics pretty well. The main character looks just like the main character. Or not the main character, the main villain, Thaddeus. Looks just like the guy that plays Thaddeus in the comics.
Does he?
Yeah. Pretty spot on, actually. Bald guy, scar, glasses. I mean,
Good casting, you're saying?
yeah, they
Yeah.
did it.
Excuse me.
To what Jordan was saying earlier, just a second ago, I feel like they did do that stuff, like explaining the powers and everything. It was just fun.
Right, but
And
it
you
wasn't
did,
too,
like didn't notice as much because you were having fun while it was happening.
well, they didn't do it too much either. They're like, all right, we're gonna show you just enough.
Okay.
All right, but we have a story to tell, so
Right.
we're not gonna sit here and waste time not telling a story because we only got 2 hours.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Any comments on the villain? Like, maybe did you feel like it was too similar to the hero and abilities?
No. I mean, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, though, because the lore is there, even though they don't explain it completely, like with the whole 7 sins. Because the wizard explained it a little bit of like the history. They released the 7 deadly sins and they contained them somehow. So they kind of have to follow the pattern with that, but at the
Right.
same time, it's like, yeah, they have very similar powers, but they don't get them the same way.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe the sins would each be their own power, but they all seem to have the same ability, except flight. But they could all kind of just dust and fly that way too. So why did that one even have wings? And they could all kind of fly.
For
Yeah.
aesthetics, for looks, for
You know,
variation of
Right.
the enemies.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can tell them apart.
Animation. Okay. I was just wondering. I didn't have any issues with it. I don't know too much about Dr. Savan as a character at all. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I was looking. He made his hands all glowy. His fist. I was like, "Ooh, that's pretty badass." I want to see him
We
fight
gonna
with
do
that.
some glowy stuff. So I want to jump into what we don't like a little bit. The one thing that really stood out was some of the CGI was really bad. There's a specific part when he's doing the flight test
Oh,
and
he
he's
runs
jumping
the-
up, and they did something with like the way his feet were gripping the half pipe. It looked really, really bad. It looked like really jumpy. It's almost like they like accidentally cut out some frames because it just goes from him standing there and it like shoots up. It looked super unnatural. I noticed it right away.
Yeah.
And then like the sins themselves, they just looked
Really.
kind of
CGI.
lazy.
Yeah.
Like they almost looked muddy, if that makes any sense. Like they were just like, all right, we need
They're demons.
right, but there was not like a whole lot of detail to them
Oh, I thought they looked pretty detailed.
as far as like the sharpness and like variation of like the depth and texture of their skin, stuff like that. Like because you can tell when even when you watch the original Transformers, you can tell they spent a lot of money and a lot of time doing those Transformers properly, because you can see all those little fine details.
Yeah, the mechanical. moving
Especially when they're
pieces.
transforming. And then so if you go and look at that on other movies where it's not quite like the CGI can look good, but there's just like that little don't really know how to explain it, but it's not quite up to par with some of the top-notch CGI.
Okay.
That's the best way I can
I
explain
can,
it.
I feel like it's happening a lot in these movies, these superhero movies. A lot of it does need to be CGI, which is true because people can't fly or shoot
Speak up a
lightning
little
out of
bit.
their fingers, charge people's phones with their fingers, or whatever. So you see it, we're seeing it constantly, but most of it does seem to be pretty not up to par.
It's like
So,
just good enough to
well,
pass
no,
the cutting
like,
room floor.
well, right. A lot of it's good, but at the same time, a lot of it's pretty bad. And I feel like we're seeing that in a lot of movies. Maybe we're just at a point where we're used to seeing things so good sometimes. Like we do see that really top-notch CGI.
Yeah.
And not everything has caught up to that. And 'cause,
Yeah.
you can't use your entire budget on CGI.
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. It's how movies get budgeted.
Yeah.
We can't watch this movie and go, oh, this wasn't as good as Infinity War. Well, Infinity War has the huge budget.
Right.
Like just Black Panther, the same movie that came out just a month before Infinity War. The final fight scene that looked pretty bad. Where
Yeah.
the Panthers are fighting on the railway and the
Yeah.
meteor or whatever. That just looked bad, but that's not something they're gonna spend a lot of money on.
Right.
The rhino looked a little weird at times. Like sometimes it
Right,
looked like a
right.
real rhino.
So that's
Sometimes it looked
fair.
like and that doesn't bother me because how are they gonna know that movie was gonna make? That movie made what 1.7 billion, 1.5 billion worldwide.
Yeah, something like that.
So how they probably had an inkling it might do well, but I don't think they thought it was gonna do that well. So I just same thing with this movie. It's like, hey, we're trying to remake our franchise movies again, so let's cut this budget and make it pretty slim.
Yeah.
So
That's where you
the
saw
sins and the flying gets cut a little bit.
To your point, I'm being pretty nitpicky. I notice that kind of stuff. Probably 75% of your audience doesn't notice or just doesn't give a shit.
I didn't notice the half pipe part, but I did notice the first time he's flying sideways, I was like, this looks bad, but I noticed it, but I was like, it doesn't bother me because I understand budget constraints when it comes to a movie.
Right.
I
Yeah.
understand. Not an
That's-
expert or nothing, but
right.
I understand. Okay, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. It bugs me like looking at it because I'm like,
But it is weird.
But at the same time, I understand the budgets and I understand, you have to make a movie, and it was still a fun product. So it didn't take away from the product.
Guardians 1. Do you remember any bad CGI in Guardians 1?
I can't remember. It's
I
been a
don't think
long
so.
time.
I
don't-
think maybe
It holds up.
Yeah, I was just thinking about him flying
the
to
scene,
space.
the scene where they're all holding hands.
I was thinking maybe
and
that
their
scene too,
pieces
yeah.
are flicking
Well-
off. That's a little.
But I feel like some parts of that looks good and some parts of that look bad.
So
Right.
here's a little technical info for that. So that movie was shot completely on digital. It was not shot on film whatsoever. Because of that, they have to make damn sure that the CGI does look good because digital looks so clean, there's none of that film grain or anything. Bad CGI shows up really fast. So everything they did do was at least good enough to match that fidelity level of digital.
Okay.
So that being said, I don't remember
They did
any
that with all
bad
Marvel
CGI.
movies?
No, I think Guardians 1 and 2 are the only ones that are on digital.
Is that like a James Gunn choice?
It's a James Gunn choice because basically what he had said, I read this in an article that I can't remember who it was from. But he said basically because they're doing stuff in space and because of that CGI, he wants that to look as cosmic and pretty as possible.
Is there a way to force them to spend the money to make it look nice then? If he films it digitally then?
I'd imagine there's probably some sort of company-wide initiative to match that level of effort, but there's no way to know.
Well, yeah, with them
Unless-
taking
unless you
everything
work
to
in that
space
industry.
in the new movies,
Because it just seems
I feel like
I was thinking since that was the first movie for Guardians, that seemed like maybe that might have been a potential risk. I mean, I guess every movie, it's still weird to think movies are a risk, but every movie's a risk that they wouldn't have spent as much money to making that movie look as nice as it still does today.
Well, digital doesn't cost that much more to do. It's more it's a more an artistic and visual choice because a lot of people don't like the look of like the look of digital because it looks so clean. It doesn't look like a
Yeah, I know.
movie.
Yeah.
But I actually prefer digital. It looks a lot cleaner because anytime if you ever do watch anything in 4K and you watch something in digital, like Blade Runner 2 was all digital.
Okay.
And you can tell when you watch that. The same guy who did the cinematography for that movie did it for Skyfall. And if you remember that very well, that won some awards for cinematography, I think an Academy Award for it. And it was just a beautiful movie. I can't remember the guy's name, the cinematographer, but he did that and the other movie, and
Blade
they
Runner.
did digital for those, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Do you think Shazam was a risk to the studio, WB?
I don't think so.
No, because it clearly looks like they kind of changed their direction a little bit
Okay.
and what they
Yeah.
wanted to do. So,
Well, it was in their original path of movies that they had laid out.
but how do we know
Shazam was in
how much
there
this movie's been changed
since then?
since that one?
Right.
Probably a lot. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, maybe it could have always had this fun tone, a more fun tone, or maybe it would have been darker. But I feel like this movie makes sense to have a fun tone. So I don't know if this would have fit in with darker movies, anyways.
Yeah, I think it's probably for the best that this movie didn't get put out 3-4 years ago, or last year even.
Should have been a weird
because they
tonal shift.
clearly made a better product out of it,
Right.
or at least an on par product with what
Right.
they would have had before.
Like same thing with Aquaman. That movie was pretty lighthearted itself, and it seems like
Yeah.
it'd have been weird for that movie to been pretty serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see a serious cyborg movie, but that's because in Justice League he was just kind of brooding. I'm a robot.
Yeah.
I keep changing. Like, no one likes me.
I'm black, but I'm also red and metallic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah.
You remember, like,
I
he lifts his
think-
hands up. He's like, "Can you do this?" Or like his hands go.
I haven't seen it in a while. The one comment I was going to make about the dark tone and the lighter tone is I feel like they could have, and possibly, I don't know how well this would work with common fans, but multiple universes existing in their movies at the same time.
Yeah, I completely support that idea. Just like
So you could continue with your Zack Snyder dark Justice League movies, but also have your, random Joker movie. Who knows how that even fits in, if it does fit in at all. So it could just be its own solo movie and it has no connection to Jared Leto's Joker or anything like that.
yeah, that makes.
And I really think that they should do that and keep doing that because it's, that's how they're going to make good movies. Directors can make the movies that they want and they don't have to worry about it all connecting. And if they
Right.
want it to connect, they can make it connect.
I've been saying that, like, that's what comic books are. You tell a story with your characters, and it doesn't necessarily have to flow into the past comic book or the next series.
Right.
Just like their DC animated movies, they're self-contained stories.
Yeah.
And that's DC's biggest asset. I mean, I feel like that's really what they should be doing. They can have the same actors play different characters. I mean, play the same characters, just put them in different situations.
Right.
Almost kind of like teetering on anthology style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't even like you don't even necessarily have like a full ensemble movie where each character gets so much screen time. I mean, if you want to have a movie, let's just say Batman and the Flash, and you maybe have a little bit of Wonder Woman in and out.
Yeah.
Superman
Okay.
a second. I mean, I feel like Superman's maybe the one character
Well,
that they keep out of most movies.
They might even be toying with that a little bit because what's going on with 1984? Steve Trevor's in it. Somehow. He's in it. That's confirmed.
That is confirmed.
He's in it?
Like,
Or like
Well,
in a flashback?
we
he's
don't know.
alive
Oh.
in 1984.
That's confirmed?
In
Why
some
y'all
form.
spoiling me?
All right. In some form. I think it's pretty common
I mean,
knowledge.
I
if
guess
you're
we just saw-
following
we just saw his
1984.
blow up.
No, it's common knowledge. This isn't a secret.
Yeah, so I don't know what's
is
going
out.
on. Like,
Well, I figured maybe
well,
it's a
nobody knows what's
flashback.
going on. Clones or
maybe.
whatever the hell, magic or something. But he's there.
Yeah. So they might even be toying with what we're talking about.
God bring, because I mean, granted, I know obviously they weren't gonna know they didn't know they were gonna make a second one probably quite yet when they were filming the first one. But just the way she looks at her picture when she gets her picture back, you know, just the way she looks at it, it's like, oh, I haven't seen Steve Trevor in 100 years.
I've got something that I just thought of too. There's no way, in any shape or form, that he escaped that plane without some sort of magic or time travel involved. Because he's not any older than 84.
I don't say he's even escapes the plane.
No, I'm saying like
he
you
died
you
in
can
that
just
movie.
rule that out.
Oh yeah.
Because he's not any older.
You remember how mad though she gets like when Batman and her are arguing in Justice League about
Well, it still would have been 30 some years.
yeah, but all Bruce knows, Batman knows, is that he like let him die or whatever in the plane, or she let him die in the plane.
Right.
So obviously, if she knew that, like, if she knew other information, I don't know if that would have hurt as much.
That
Maybe the
this
continuity
goes
isn't the same.
That's true.
This goes to the singular anthology movie within. Like, it doesn't matter. And even Patty Jenkins had mentioned something like that, I believe, that this movie doesn't have to fit in any timeline. Like, it's still a Wonder Woman sequel, but it doesn't have to fit for a specific timeline.
Okay.
I don't believe she's like restarting and, you know, Steve Trevor's just alive and it's a new Steve Trevor.
No, I don't think they'd do that.
No, I don't think it's that, but
They signed Chris Pine to 3 movies. They're gonna get 3 movies out of it.
Gonna get that beautiful man. They said Marvel's got a
He should
Chris.
be the
Well, we
Green
got a
Lantern,
Chris.
but-
Did you see that's why actually Joaquin Phoenix said he never wanted to do a Marvel movie? Apparently, he'd been courted for years to be like the Hulk or Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
And
He didn't want to do.
he didn't like the multiple movie clauses in his contract.
Yeah. So that's
Fair enough.
I saw
Yeah,
that too.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Fair enough. You don't want to
He
do that.
didn't
Don't do
want
it.
to have
Yeah.
to be locked into a big studio doing those kind of
Okay.
movies.
Let's reel it back to the movie at hand. This is the spoiler section. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers besides that little itty bitty one we had earlier, stop watching right now.
We'll put something
So-
up saying spoiler alert. In 5,
So this is the spoiler section.
2, 1.
If you're still here, that means you want to know what happened or you've already seen the movie. So, can we vote on the worst parent ever? His mom or Stannis Baratheon?
Stannis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Burn his daughter.
seriously?
I have a child. I get it. Like, she didn't look 17, and it's kind of lame to abandon.
Why don't you dial that back about 25%?
You know, you can't abandon your kids in public, but I didn't necessarily hate her. Like,
No, that was some bullshit, dude.
No,
Come on.
No, you knew from immediately.
I was sad.
You knew from immediately.
It got me.
As soon as you found out his mom never got him again,
He dipped out.
You knew.
she dipped out because you
Yeah.
lose your kid, they're gonna get found by someone.
Well, yeah, I knew
You
that
know?
she had left him.
Yeah,
I
so,
knew
like-
that.
So like to me, I didn't feel like an emotional payoff. Like I wish they would have said like he thought she was dead or something like that. At least makes you feel like
you kind of see that in his face, and he's like, "What, is she dead?"
Nope.
And he
worse.
was more disappointed, as his character was more disappointed
well, no.
that
To
she
me, it
was
seemed
alive.
like he was afraid that she thought he ran away. That's why he's like, I didn't run away.
Right.
It's like in his mind, why she never came looking for him was that she thought he ran away. See, that's what
I mean,
seemed
it was
to me.
good character development. I feel like it was necessary for the story, and
And-
it was great. It
And
was
for the
good
other
acting
foster
and
kids
everything.
to actually have like a more important part in the movie because before that he didn't accept them.
Right.
You know, if his mom was like, "Oh, hey, what's up? Come on back in," or or something.
Yeah.
Basically, something better happened than what happened. He probably would have. He may have gone back to the foster home, but he definitely wouldn't have been accepting of the other kids.
Okay. I thought something was gonna happen where she like invites him in, and he realizes like he was better off at the
Yeah.
home.
Oh, like Joe Dirt.
Kind of. Yeah.
I was kind of
So,
sensing that.
I
might
was
happen
thinking
too.
that was gonna happen because they had that scene earlier in the film where she was like the foster mom was like, he'll know it's a home when it's a home to him or whatever she
Dude,
says.
that foster mom was bad. Ooh, that foster mom was bad.
And
the chesticles.
So I figured he was gonna be there with his mom and realize, like, this isn't. I don't care. I don't know who this lady is. I don't care about her at all.
Right.
My home is with those people.
This woman never bothered to take
But
care of me, but these
I like
people
the way
want
they
to.
handled it
Yeah.
a little better.
It made sense to me from the information the movie gave us.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Well, I mean, anybody who's, a little older kind of already knew what was happening at the beginning of the movie. Like, you already know that his mom abandoned him. Like, you can tell. Like, yeah, because like you said, the mom's going to find you. Yeah. There's no way she's not going to find you. So, I want to know how, like, even though she went under her maiden name to escape her son, I'm pretty sure, like, CPS or somehow the authorities would figure that out. You know what I mean?
They could have probably.
It was 10 years ago, man.
Been like,
it was.
I don't know who that
2009.
It was 2009, man. You could just abandon kids in Philly. 2009.
Like, so that part, I mean, you had to have a little.
She was 17, just moved there.
You had to suspend a little disbelief, but you're still in the system. Like, you have a like.
It's true. This is a movie about wizards.
Like, they're gonna find out
There's
that your kid's not with you. Eventually, they will find out. Some way or another,
CPS
they'll find
can't
out.
take your kid though if you don't have it no more.
But they can find the kid. Billy was in the system. Billy Batson. They know who he is.
Yeah.
So they're gonna know who the mom is. So something just wasn't adding up. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, here
it's a movie. You're getting way too deep into it.
No,
he said there's born in Minnesota though. Why would there be any record of them in Philly?
There's a federal database
of kids.
Yes, of anybody born. It's called the Social Security Administration.
She'd never filled out a Social Security card for him.
Well, that's what I was getting to. So if he was born not in a hospital and all that, then yeah, it's possible. Yeah. But yeah, I'm getting way too far deep into this.
Well,
I apologize.
See where they go. We don't need to talk anymore about Billy Batson's mom and him being abandoned.
Okay.
And this broken system in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll get off that.
The police did not do their job. We know this.
It's not their job to really find his mom.
Moving on. Anyway.
Whoa.
I'd like to see the path that they take the Magic in DC on the Magic universe. Like Zatanna.
Because there hasn't been any magic.
Dr. Fate is really
at all, right? It's all been
Dr. Fate. He's badass.
It's all been either gods or aliens.
Dr. Fate is like their Dr.
Sorcerer Supreme sort of thing. Yeah, it's great.
And that's the thing. Superman's weak to magic. That's Superman's weakness. One of his weaknesses, kryptonite and magic.
I mean, he's mortal. He's a mortal person.
Oh yeah.
We
see
so that's just his thing. He's weak to magic. Shazam,
and that's why. That's another thing. You never really see Superman in the animated Justice League shows go to hang out with Dr. Fate because like
they always just send Batman.
They usually send Batman, and the few times Superman's there, he's like, "Yeah, I don't like being here. I don't like magic."
So I'm getting the hell out of here.
Hot girl's like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "I don't do well with magic."
I'm not a magic guy per se.
So
those are good characters.
This isn't so much about the movie. It's my critique of Hollywood movies. What is with these bullies? They're such an exaggerated. Who hits a kid at a school? How big of a douchebag you are, and gets out and starts shaking the kid around.
So that's definitely a problem. That doesn't bullies aren't a thing anymore. If they are, then you're a fucking pussy. Shut up.
They're as bad as
no. So I think a problem that Hollywood still has is that they don't know how to get past that trope. They're like, okay, well, we've always used bullies before, like. Because up until the turn of the century, bullies were still very relevant.
Yeah.
But then the 2000s happened, the 2010s happened, and they're like, shit, there's no bullies anymore. But what the fuck do we do to replace, what do we put in their spot?
There's probably still bullies. There's internet bullies.
No, there's not. Just get off the internet. Just log off. Stop being a fucking idiot.
I never... You just can't park your truck in front of the school. Like, what kid's going to do that and not get towed?
What kid has a Raptor? A Ford Raptor in Philadelphia. Nobody in Philadelphia makes money. You kidding me?
So, yeah, it's just like...
Also, those kids look like they were fucking 12.
Exactly.
That school was weird.
Well, no, all the kids there look young, and those guys look like they're the oldest kids. I guess maybe they're the bullies, but, like, are we in a high school?
Yeah, what's the pecking order here?
I think it was a mix. I think it was
a middle school. A middle school with like 4th and 5th maybe.
But Mary was going to college.
Right.
She was there
shit,
too.
You're right.
Mary was going to college.
Budget cuts, man. They got to put them all in one school.
Just like, how are we all in one school? Like, okay, fine, we're all in one school. I don't claim to know how Philadelphia schools work. He's put them all in one school.
It doesn't work like that. My sister lives in Philly. It doesn't work like that.
Like, these dudes are bullying. Like, your high school is bullying middle schoolers. Like, it seems like...
Like, that's just not a thing. You'll get, like, with the internet now, a bully will get exposed immediately. It takes one person recording something on their phone and, like, look at this fucking douchebag piece of shit beating up on kids, and they'll get shut down real quick. This cancel culture ain't fucking around, especially with bullies nowadays, all right? Let's not get it fucking twisted. I don't know. I don't know why they still have bullies in movies. They need to get rid of it because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, they're not a thing.
That was a
I
super
thought a
exaggerated...
good little tidbit in the movie was one of his first encounters being a hero, trying to save that girl who was getting robbed. She was like, what? She was like, I already pepper sprayed him. I thought that was good. I thought that was a little breakdown of a trope there where the little damsel in distress, she was like, I handled it.
I thought, because at first I thought they were going to go like the social justice warrior route. Where like, I'm a girl, I can take care of myself. And they did do that a little bit, but like they did it properly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and they didn't make like, they did it without making the male character look like a bumbling idiot. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Which is what they usually do. They're like,
Exactly.
Anytime they want to show a woman being powerful, they have to make a man look like an idiot or weak to do it, and that's not necessary. You can make a woman look exactly. You can make an incredibly powerful female character, or even a regular one, like we saw with the, purse snatch preventer, without damaging the male character. And I hope that more movies do that, because right now they're just doing it at the expense of the male character, and then it's just like, you got all this fucking uproar, and I don't want to deal with it. So
I think they did a good job. I don't have that much bad to say about this movie at all, to be honest with you.
who directed it? Do we know? Can we look that up?
I have no idea.
I don't have my
Jamie
phone.
looked that up.
Jamie, pull that shit up. Do you have your phone on you? Seriously?
I don't have my phone on
Okay.
me.
Well,
you gotta come up with a new name. You can't use some other podcast's
Here,
I know.
girl's name.
Oh, never mind.
I know.
Her name's not Marissa. Marissa, pull that up.
Do we want to talk about? Excuse me.
Other podcasts.
Shayna, pull that up.
Do we want to talk about the ending at all? Like, did we like the ending? Was it kind of lackluster?
They did a good job tidying everything up. I just keep saying they did a good job, but they did.
They didn't really explain what that thing was, if it can be broken, if it can destroy the 7 beasts.
Oh, the little blue orb type deal?
So I guess just pulling it out and the beast.
Well, it's like
forced.
the Tesseract. We didn't know anything about it when it first came out. Or the Mind Stone and Loki's Scepter. We didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So
We just knew Scepter had mind.
So they can use it in
Maybe,
world build.
yeah, maybe world build, further magic world.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, I guess that goes right into the post-credit scene with Mr. Mind, the caterpillar.
Yeah.
If you were observant, you saw him in the jar, and then when the jar gets broken, he's not in the jar anymore.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah,
No.
so
That was the broken jar?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in
Because
the
I saw the
jar.
broken glass when they
Yeah.
went back, and I was
there
like,
was a
what
little
the hell
twig.
is
He was
this?
in there earlier before it was broken.
Okay. I don't know anything about that guy.
And I just know he was before, Jordan was talking about earlier, before Shazam was, no, when Shazam was Captain Marvel. I was going to say before he was Captain Marvel. That was his big baddie. It was Mr. Mind.
Okay.
And
And it was a worm.
Yeah, it was a worm.
That's interesting.
And so his whole goal was to take over Captain Marvel's body so he can have a body
Right.
that resembles his intellect.
That is on par with.
So most likely that's why he needs Thaddeus. They're going to work together to cause him mayhem. And the seven
Okay.
worlds or whatever.
All right.
They're like, I only know one of the 7 worlds. And it's like the world's full of Zootopia animals,
Oh, so the alligators that were sitting at the table? Okay.
That was hilarious.
That was pretty good.
That's what I remembered that from.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't remember any of the other worlds. But I do know that
We probably got a glimpse at them, them opening those doors, and we don't even know.
all of them together are probably going to go explore all those worlds together.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's pretty cool. That sounds good.
And
Good
then the Black Adam, he's the modern day reborn champion, a past champion, and that's just going to be a solo movie. That's not going to be a movie that has them interacting together, which I thought would be
Dwayne
weird.
The Rock Johnson.
I figured if anything, like he should maybe kind of be like an anti-hero bad guy.
Well,
maybe?
so
I figured anti-hero, and he would be like
Then they team
a
up to
team
beat.
up to a
So
big
think
baddie.
about this,
That's the
like
movie.
they could be doing their like we were talking about, different tone of movies.
That's
you
true.
know?
That's
like,
true. But it's like, do we need another Shazam character? We have 6 Shazams.
Well,
now.
if they do it, if they take
7.
the tone and the culture and the color and make it completely different, yeah, they could do it. If the movie
7 would fit the theme of those movies. Then
that's true. He would fit in.
Yeah.
Then
I just think it's gonna be weird. He gets a whole movie because they wanted The Rock so hot, even though I don't feel like he's not hot now anymore.
I feel like he's not.
Doesn't mean they're gonna stop putting him in movies.
They're not.
Hollywood tried to make Justin Long a movie star for a very long time.
And they failed miserably.
Now
Some say they still say he's in movies today. But just imagine a whole nother Shazam, which we like Shazam. We liked Shazam. But a whole nother Shazam, but with Rock in it, and then at the end we see all 6
Well,
of
what
them
if they
show up.
what if they turn it on its head, and because you said he was reincarnated or whatever, what if he pops out and he's got all these powers, and because remember when they were hinting at Billy doesn't know the true what his champion form can actually do.
Mm-hmm.
What if we get to see that and we're like, oh, so this is what it actually looks like, and then that way when Billy goes to finally unlock that, it's like, oh, so now we have a basis of comparison. We can see how they're different. Is Billy more powerful? Is he on par? Is he less powerful? All this stuff's going on, and at the same time you can world build with all of that, so you have different situations going on in each movie, and then when it's Billy's turn, you're watching Shazam 2, 3, whatever the fuck it might be. It means that much more because you've seen it before in something else.
Okay.
So
I think it would be good to, especially because I heard the rumor that Hawkman is also supposed to be in this Black Adam movie. And that excites me too, because just more badass characters from Justice League that we all want to see, I feel.
Hawkeye was the bad guy in Justice League.
all right, we want to do a verdict.
Well, I had one more thing to say. Shazam, he never had his hood on with his glowing eyes, electricity eyes. Maybe that's something they're waiting to show. That's a iconic image I have of Shazam.
Okay.
From just different media properties.
Yeah.
Different movies and the TV shows, and he didn't. You know what I mean? He didn't have his hood on, and he didn't have his electricity eyes.
Oh well,
Because he's still kind of a wizard.
Maybe he has to find his full potential.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe that's. But I'm like, none of them have their hoods on. I'm like, oh, none of them put a hood on.
yep.
Saving it for a different time.
Yep. Okay.
So
Gotta leave something for the sequel.
my verdict, definitely Unsinkable. I think this movie was fucking solid. I don't really have any complaints. Most DC movies, I'm kind of a DC hater, to be honest. A lot of them I find a lot of problems with, and I didn't find many problems with this one. So I'm going to say it's Unsinkable.
I'm gonna also say Shazam is unsinkable. The path that DC has laid out for this character, and their future of movies, it's an iceberg floating in the water. It's not going nowhere. Yeah, they're doing great. Zachary Levi proved himself.
Yeah.
Great job, Unsinkable.
Okay, boys, let's go back to 1912 and stop the Titanic from sinking
Let's
because
do
it's
it.
unsinkable.
Nice. All right. So next week, or not next week, but next time rather, we'll be doing Endgame. So we will probably do a small little pre-show.
Again, yep. Same format.
Because the one we have right now, we don't have any mic set up or anything like that from the previous video. So that sounded terrible. So we'll probably just redo a little bit of that, like 5 minutes or so. Then we'll go watch it. We'll do the exact same thing. We'll do a breakdown, and we'll talk about that. So, any last remarks you guys want to give?
I don't.
Nope.
Superman cameo in Shazam.
Oh, yeah.
No Henry Cavill. Spoiler.
All right. See you guys later.